And that way we've got it for future reference, or for any of your teammates or sellers that aren't able to join today. We'll get this sent out as soon as we get it back. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. It should be a fairly shortened session today. I don't believe we'll take the full hour. We know that everybody's busy this time of year, and we appreciate you taking some time out this morning to join us. So as we look at kind of a quick overview, like I said, we're going to review our optimizing in-season genetics, which would be our foliar products, NutriBoost products. We'll do a quick refresh and review on our off-the-line portfolio, and then just kind of a reminder on the opportunities that are out there to bundle your Rob Seco Seed and Streamline Ag products together. So kind of a reminder there below, obviously, to remember to mute your phones and put any questions you have in the chat, and we'll try to get to those either at the end or in a follow-up conversation after this call. So with that, I'm going to introduce and kick it over to Todd Clausen, our head of agronomy.
Morning, Adam, and thank you. It's an honor to be part of this, and so I appreciate the opportunity. And thank all of you for taking the time today, not just the time today, but the time that you invest in this business, not just seed, but particularly now in Streamline. We're going to talk about two products today, products that are of really nutritional components. And Adam, you go ahead and forward that for me. So we have different nutritional components, and we're going to run and discuss NutriBoost Complete and NutriBoost NKBS. Now realize that these are designed for progress. They're designed for robustness. They're designed for what's really important, in my mind, is protection. We realize that as a farm operator or as a professional in the agricultural industry, we cannot increase potential performance. We can only protect the innate raw ability of our genetic packages to perform. So again, thank you all. I mean, you're taking a step in offering and packaging opportunities to the American farmer that not very many brands or businesses can compete with. It's really, really unique. So just a couple things is we're going to talk about NutriBoost Complete and NutriBoost NKBS. Now, when I think about these two, NutriBoost Complete is going to be an earlier growing season application. Really designed to be a V3 to V5 application is where it's going to come in at. I would prefer it to be sequential, and really I would almost prefer it to be a little bit later than V3 to V5, simply because you'd have better plant interception and better coverage of the crop. Because basically these products, particularly at the dose that the nutritional products, the nutrients are leveled out here, they'll be fairly inert in the soil themselves. And then the NutriBoost NKBS is a later application, could run as early as V12 all the way up through R1, and should be an outstanding partner with fungicide and a fungicide insecticide application at that VT window that much of the upper Midwest would utilize for fungicide and insecticide applications. Different for the far south, different for that far south Texas area, south of Houston. You get down into the coastal bend and Rio Grande Valley. That application may be just a little bit later to keep that plant alive a little bit longer. But these are the two products that we want to talk about today. Adam. Can you advance that, Adam? Thank you. So again, we can't increase or enhance yield performance, and all we can do is protect. So big difference between being proactive and reactive. I've got that term management circled there, and it's not management, it's mitigation. It's mitigation of stress. It is being the caretaker of our crop, and it's helping that crop to have fewer bad days. And you think about proactive versus reactive, these two products are very, very proactive. We want to be on the front end of any stressors and stress factors that come into play, regardless if you're whether you're in Fargo, North Dakota, or whether you're in Alice, Texas. This becomes very important because think about it being reactive. Whether we react to any stress, for example, I came across some sulfur deficiency in South Texas earlier this week, and it's heavy striping. The plant is being compromised. If we throw a bunch of sulfur at a crop like that today, it's too compromised to take advantage of the investment that we're making in it. Well, and I hope that makes sense. So we need to be on the front side. We need to be proactive. We need to prime the plant. We need to prepare the plant to defend itself when stresses occur. So a big difference between being proactive and being reactive. When I say be proactive, it allows us the opportunity to have another or greater level of control. So I say only control, you can only control the things you can control, right? This gives us an opportunity and a lever of control. And when I think about in-season investment, farmers are generally inclined to write a check to make an investment when their crop is under stress and under duress, when it's physically showing a concern. And that's probably not the time to invest in that crop. The best time to invest in your crop, frankly, is when it cannot, I repeat, when it cannot look any better. Because then it has the opportunity and the foundation built to be able to take advantage of the investment that you're making into that crop. Advance, please. These are the critical windows, at least in corn. These are the critical windows of the stages that are the driving factors of yield in corn. And really, remember the driving factors in yield. They're rows around, they're kernels in length, their number of harvestable ears per acre, and then how big are the kernels, right? So you've got that early 20 to 25 days. You've got that V5 to V8, which is about 18 days, V12 to VT, which is easily 3 weeks. You've got the pollination period, which is 8 to 10 days, and then you've got that last 25 days of the crop slide. These are the important factors, and these are the directives, and these are the zones, these are the windows of our calendar that we want to be able to utilize and get out in front of stress factors. Please advance.
Yeah. Hey, Todd, can you make sure you're speaking close to your mic? I know guys are having a hard time hearing you and cutting out a little bit.
All right, I apologize for that. I'll see if that's any better.
Thank you.
If you give me 1 second, I can change that microphone system. I apologize. Hold on.
Testing 1, 2, 3. How's that, Adam? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Much better, Todd.
Okay. So NutriBoost complete. We'll roll through it. So it is a very simple it's a very simple material. Okay, it's a 500. It's got 1% sulfur and it's got 4 different micronutrients in it: boron, manganese, moly, and zinc. Now, NutriBoost complete in the lineup today. Will replace NutriBoost Defense. Remember, NutriBoost Defense gave us that ability to lower the risk of stress factors using arginine and tryptophan, right? But what the two products here have, if you'll advance into the NutriBoost Complete slide, please. Advance, there we go. No, back one. Sorry, folks, I'm not driving this. So it has proline and it has phenolic acid. So let's just quickly describe what these two products are and what they do. Proline is an amino acid. Okay? So proline is being produced and accumulated by the plant all season long in normal conditions, in luxurious conditions, and under stressful conditions. Okay, and so it accumulates a bank of this amino acid that serves as a coping mechanism for stressors and for stress factors. And what it does is it readies that plant, or it preempts that stress factor, both from biotic and abiotic stress factors. And those are words that I hear people use all the time. And what do they mean? A biotic stress is a physical stress on the plant. You get a corn borer to drill into the side of your stalk, that's a biotic stress. If you have corn rootworm feeding or soybean cyst nematode invasion in your root system, that's a biotic stress. Abiotic stress is, you know what, there's 100 days of heat above 100 degrees in South Texas. That is an abiotic stress, or lack of rainfall or cold temperatures are abiotic stress. But what proline can help us do is it helps us avert stress so the plant can maintain its normal growth, its normal sugar production, its normal advancement and sustaining of the vegetative growth pattern that moves into the then reproductive growth pattern. Remember the growth pattern here with NutriBoost Complete is we're trying to protect it during that V5 to V8 pattern where rows around are formed, and that V12 to VT stage where the number of kernels in length are being formed. Now, phenolic acid is a different compound, and phenolic acid is what we would call a secondary metabolite. What the hell does that mean? What it means is it's triggered. Phenolic acids will be produced by the plant after they've been triggered by some stress factor. Okay, so it's a response to a stressor. Okay, so it's reactionary. So it reacts to it, and once it has a stress factor, compromising the plant, making the plant do what? Shut down for a period of time, take energy away from normal growth vegetatively and reproductively to produce a phenolic acid that is its defense mechanism. And that phenolic acid then will signal and trigger cell growth and division so it can recover from that stress factor that's been applied to it. Please advance. When we think about the proline and phenolic acid application, it primes the plant, it boosts the plant's defense mechanism, it prepares it to go to war without having any guns blazing yet. So it's a luxurious advancement, it's a luxurious consumption of readiness of a defense mechanism. So it'll prime the plant, it'll assist in those defense mechanisms with less stress, less energy diversion or aversion from the plant's normal production, and it'll limit that recovery time so the plant can again maintain its journey all the way to maturity and reproductive maturity. If you'd advance that, please. So for the complete window, this is our direction. We want to be out in front of it. So we have stress coping capability as we reach that V5 to V8 stage as we produce rows around. And think about rows around. I'll give you a real life example. I'm in Elkhorn today, but a real life example down here in the valley on the Future Farm last year. 2 rows around. If we limit that plant, if that plant becomes under stress, V5 to V8, and if we limit that plant by 2 rows, 2 kernel rows, that farm averaged about 270 bushel. If we take 2 rows away from that, that's 31 bushel effect. So having an effect on that early growth pattern is terribly important. That's a difference of 240 bushel to 270 bushel. Then you think about that period of stress. It's a 3-week period, an easy 3-week period, V12 to VT. That's when you are setting in number of kernels in length per kernel row. So now you're trying to attempt your total potential kernel count. And you think about that, if you have a stress factor to whereby you limit that length of row, the number of kernels in each given row, just by 4 kernels in length. At the Future Farm, in real life, that would have been about 26 or 27 bushel in 2023. So we have the opportunity to build a defense mechanism with NutriBoost Complete and helping alleviate and helping prepare this plant to cope with that stress before that stress factor takes away some of that reproductive and vegetative progression. Go ahead and advance that, please. Let's just help it prepare for battle before the battle begins. Go ahead and advance that a little further. We look at that again. Crops under stress, they stop growing, they stop producing sugars, they stop respirating. It takes energy to recover from stressor factors, and it takes time away. And if you take time away from that plant to recover from any stress, biotic or abiotic, what does that do to your plant's maturity? Changes it, shortens it up. What does that do to the grain fill period? It will shorten it up, and the less time you have to fill grain, the less grain that you're going to fill. So that energy is robbed by the production of the phenol. So if we can apply that phenolic acid and the proline out in front under a luxurious consumption with a higher intensity rate, we'll be ready to go to war, okay? Again, we want to be proactive rather than reactive. Please advance that. If you look at some of the manufacturer results, these are measurements, these are not yield. So if you look at the 3 sets of bars on the right side, it's hard to discern between the 2 grays, but the 3 bars on the left, that's total chlorophyll. So there's total chlorophyll measured in plants. And so the control is on the far left gray bar. The stressed entry is in the middle in the green. And then the entry that has what we will call NutriBoost Complete is the one indicated by the green arrow. And so we're getting better chlorophyll measurement over the stressed and over the control with NutriBoost Complete. If you look at the middle 3 sets of bars, this is relative water content of the plant itself. And so this is basically under heat and drought duress. And you see the control on the left versus the treated on the far right, indicated by the arrow. And then the stressed entry is in the middle. So we're getting greater chlorophyll chlorophyll measurement and greater water relative retention. And then if you look at total growth, that's total vegetative and reproductive growth. That's mass, that's plant mass on the far right side with those 3 bars. The left of those 3 is the control. The middle is the stressed entry. And then the one again indicated by the arrow is the NutriBoost Complete. And so that's total plant mass. And so we're getting a greater measurement of these physical plant facets and factors. Okay, if you'd advance that, please. A little bit of yield. So this is corn, and it's only 15 data points. I have that. It's 4 locations and only 15 comparisons, and so it is not a lot of number, but it shows really nice response. And the 2 bars sets on the right, one is a rate response. So this is a quart rate that you could run a pint, and so you look at 2 pints versus 1 pint. It's not very significant separation between the different rates. It's only 0.3 bushel between the 2 rates. So I think we could play with a pint, although at this point in time, we're going to recommend a quart. But look at the application timing. So this product is meant to go out with post-emerge herbicide pass. Well, post-emerge herbicide pass, really probably starts at V1, maybe V2, but this is a V3 to V5 application. You do see a response with a later application, okay? And that is a significant difference. It's 1.2 bushel differential between V3 and V5. So I think if you went with a sequential application, if you ran your herbicide down at V2, V3, then come back at V7, V8, V9, I think you'll get a greater response with this product. And I think that is due to coverage. You're getting more plant interception. You're closer to canopy because, again, at the dose, the nutrient dose of this product, if it hits the ground, it's probably going to be relative inert. Okay, so I like a little bit later application timing. I think that if we really get a 3.2 bushel advantage at V3, 4.4 at V5, I'm going to believe that V8 could give us a 6 or 7 bushel advantage. And we'll look at that this year. We will run our quad sprayers out across some farms and run some complete and get some idea. Okay, please advance that, Adam. Okay, so now as we look at soybeans, boom, an even bigger response. And I think we get a bigger response out of soybeans because we just simply don't treat our soybean crop very well. Again, limited data points, only 3 locations, but a 5.3 bushel advantage. The rate is significant here. The greater rate, the quart rate, is showing 6.2 bushel advantage in this limited set of data versus the 1 pint at 4.6. So you've got almost two bushel or a bushel and a half advantage with the additional pint. I think that's very significant. But now look at the timing. The bottom 2 sets of bars, the V3 application shows more significant yield, almost twice the yield, or not quite twice the yield, 75% more yield at an earlier time period rather than late. Again, we're gonna see complete on corn and soybeans at several time period and growth stage separation. So hopefully we'll get a better idea as we move through this growing season. Adam, if you'd advance that, please, we'll move into NKBS. When we think about NKBS, pretty simple. It's the advance and it's the new generation of NutriBoost NKB. Go ahead and advance that, please. When I think about nitrogen, nitrogen is your builder. Nitrogen is the focus component of amino acids, which is the focus component of protein. And it builds everything physical on that plant. Okay, so nitrogen is terribly important. It's also a chlorophyll builder as well. When I think about potassium, when I think about NKBS, my real goal is potassium. Potassium serves as the activator. Potassium will help us in so many ways. Late season, and that's why this is such a profound application at V18 to R1, because of its ability to reduce stress from drought, because the potassium opens and closes the stomates, the stomatal regulation, which allows the gaseous exchange, which does what? Regulates water content of the plant. So that's really important. Late season, it's also important because it can help suppress diseases, particularly lower plant diseases, stalk rot diseases, but it also, potassium helps create the lignin that is in the rind. And the rind is that outer layer of your stalk in corn that holds that plant up once that plant goes to senescence or goes to maturity. Then boron. Boron is a supporter of reproduction, both in soybeans and in corn, particularly in corn. I mean, it's about pollination. It's about pollination lifetime. It's about pollination viability. And it just helps us have a greater window of pollination versus silk, and so we can increase the nick, we can increase the number of viable kernels on that plant. And then finally, sulfur. I mentioned sulfur earlier. Sulfur can certainly help build chlorophyll. It's a component of chlorophyll. And over 35 years of being an agronomist, we've made a lot of recommendations on farms. And some of those recommendations, people say, you know what, all that did was green up my crop. Well, sometimes all I want to do is green up your crop, because if you have a more robust chlorophyll system, you have greater photosynthetic activity, you have greater exchange from carbon dioxide into a simple carbon sugar that creates all the energy for every function and activity in that plant. So all four of these are terribly important. And I think sulfur is a fabulous add to NKB from Streamline Ag. Go ahead and advance that. Let's take a look at just a little bit of where I believe that the NKBS can really come into play. That V12 to VT, so I could run it out there as early as V10 or V12. I think is probably more valuable as we get just a little bit later, but it can have some assistance with the total number of kernels that it can viably build potentially in length. So you can get to your final potential kernel count. Right? Viable kernels, it can certainly help with viable kernels. As we mentioned, the boron component here is critical for viability and vitality of pollen and longevity of pollen grains as they fall to silk, and as you have separation of plants that are silking at different time periods. But man, when I think about that last window there, that kernel weight and kernel size, and again, as I mentioned earlier, in South Texas, I was in South Texas, and they really don't have a problem getting crop out of the ground. As they start reaching that V16, V17, they start getting into a period where the heat really builds up. So their kernel count basically is there. This product can really help keep that plant healthy, keep that plant alive. And again, if you can keep that plant alive a couple days longer, particularly in a combination with a fungicide insecticide application that we know can help keep that plant alive for another 5 or 6 or 7 days. Think about what happens if you can keep that plant alive. Well, your kernel size increases. You take fewer kernels to make a bushel, and the fewer kernels that make a bushel, because your kernel count's already there. The fewer kernels, the larger the kernel you have that make a bushel, the more bushels that you have. Give you a true example down here on the Future Farm again in 2023. In general, that farm took about 90,000 kernels to make a bushel. But if we were under stress and it took 95,000 kernels to make a bushel, it's only a difference of 5,000 kernels per bushel. but that would be about 16 bushel an acre separation. So keeping that plant alive with this type of nutritional structural compound that we have in NKBS, I think is imperative for the ability and a little bit of control that we may have to help mitigate and get around some of these stresses and create a greater vegetative and reproductive plant. One more advancement, please, and then we'll finish here with these two products. It'd be two more, I'm sorry. So these are really the directives. You see drought stress on the left. That's where your potassium can come in. The second photo shows some fusarium stalk rot in the lower stalk, and you see the decay and decomposition due to that stalk rot formation. Again, that is a suppressionary capability of potassium, particularly potassium late. Right? You see the tassel sitting there full of pollen grains. That's where your boron can come in. And then you see the striping, the heavy striping on the leaves on the plant to the far right, which is tried and true sulfur deficiency. You want to be out ahead of that type of striping. You're not going to be able to have much of an effect on a plant like that. Again, this is a proactive type of a recommendation, a proactive application to supply greater nutrition, greater photosynthetic activity, greater energy, greater sugar formation, greater feeding of the plant to create greater health later into the season. Now we have one more advancement. Thank you. So this is some data, came out of 2020. Obviously, it's not our data, but it is across a number of locations again. And this is an applications that were made from V10 to R2. Each of these are different growers, different sites. They were all 20-acre side by sides, but in addition to their fungicide application, they added NKB. Okay, so this is not NKBS. And if you look at that, you're getting significant separation, and we don't know what that timing is. You get less effect from fungicide at V10 to V15 than you do from V18 to R1, certainly. But this showing a 9 bushel advantage adding the NKB over the fungicide. So I think NKBS is just a natural, perfect fit for your V18 to VT applications in the upper Midwest for fungicide and insecticide. And if you're in the far south, those applications are probably VT to R1, R1.5. So that's where we're at, folks. I thank you so very much for being on. Please take the opportunity to differentiate what you do with your team and with your customers because you have an offer and the opportunity to bring to the American farmer things other brands and businesses not only can't, but they just aren't able to. So I thank Adam for the opportunity to be here today. Everybody have a great day. Be safe out there. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. So just kind of wanted to wrap up Todd's session here with when you look at the value that you get in these two upgraded products, right? NutriBoost Complete would have replaced what we would have had in the lineup last year as NutriBoost N and NutriBoost Defense. And we've upgraded that NKB to Todd's conversation and added the sulfur. So when you look at the opportunity that presents, right? It's giving you the same great effects, probably better effect agronomically, as Todd just explained, at about 2/3 of the price point to the farm gate. So a great opportunity there to take those two products out to your customers and give them a great value. So we'll turn in here quick and touch on some of the Optiline products, so how to improve our tank mix performance. So wanted to touch probably the most on Optiline Complete, our all-in-one surfactant adjuvant formulation, and then kind of give you an introduction of our Optiline aerial product. It's formulated to go with that aerial application of fungicides or insecticides when you're running a low gallon rate. So again, Optiline Complete, it's that all-in-one product, right? It's giving you the convenience at the spray trailer at the mixing station to have all that you need in one tank. So it's your AMS based water conditioner. surfactant, and your drift and deposition. So good opportunity to give you one product you can keep in your shed to cover a lot of acres, work with a lot of growers, and also work with your farmers at the farm gate. So just kind of looking at that value, right? You know, if the grower's leaving out an adjuvant, right, there's opportunity for that stuff not to work, right? So there's up to in research $36 of lost when not using an adjuvant, not getting the coverage and the uptake in the plant of those herbicides. You know, when you're using the wrong adjuvant, right, there's always that risk of crop injury or burn. So again, there's another opportunity for yield loss or even lack of coverage. And then again, just adding a quality product like Optiline Complete, right? So it is a premium adjuvant, and with that, you'll get premium coverage and control. You know, it is it's got Enlist on the label, so you've got good weed coverage, right? It's got your NIS, it's got your water conditioner with the AMS, and then it's got the drift reduction and deposition agent. So again, a complete package that works with Liberty, your Enlist products and glyphosate. You know, one thing to call out is the importance of the drift and deposition that's in there. So, you know, if droplets are too small, right, they're going to blow away. They're not going to get to where we need them to. If they're too big, they can miss the target. They can bounce off, not be taken into the plant. And so with the formulation of this product, as well as our Optiline 2D product, they're designed to get into that right size when you're using all the right nozzles to be able to be effectively taken up by the plant. So, you know, it's going to, you know, improve your spray coverage, increase the effectiveness of your herbicides, right? And so I think there's a great value there with what this product has to make sure you're getting the coverage and effectiveness that you need. You know, it's been formulated as an all-in-one product, as I've mentioned, and so there's not the need for additional NIS in this product. And it's been a consistent, proven piece of the mix for many years. So when we look at you know, using AMS, right? You know, I guess just want to reiterate the importance of having that water conditioner in there, right? And so there's many ions in the water: sodium, calcium, you know, potassium, all those products that can be in your water. And if you're unsure, you can always do an analysis to determine what's in there. But what those do is they affect the molecule, the glyphosate molecule in particular, and it makes it inactive. It makes it too big to cross into the leaf margin. So it's effectively so when you're using that AMS, right, it's tying up those ions, the calcium, those other molecules. And so why it's important to put this into the tank prior to your chemistry to make sure that those molecules are tied up and they can't tie up the chemistry that you're putting in the tank, to make sure you're getting a very effective application of the products you're using from a crop protection standpoint. Again, we wanted to, like I said, give you a quick introduction here of our Optiline aerial products. So it's, again, formulated for that late season, you know, that aerial application when you're looking at low use rates of water. So it's the same great product that we've looked at all our other Optiline products. So to make sure we're optimizing the droplet adhesion, you know, that it's a right droplet size for the plant to take it up, and making sure that you've got you know, the coverage and canopy penetration you need. It does contain an NPE-free surfactant. Again, so it's designed to be used with that fungicide and insecticide application in late season. So we touched on Optiline Complete there, and to give you a quick refresh there, we've introduced the Optiline aerial product did want to just mention the other products we have in the portfolio. We talked about the Optiline 2D, the drift and deposition standalone product. We've got, our Optiline H2O, which is your NIS and AMS tank mix product, pre-mix product. We've got the Optiline Exact, and then also the MSO product there as well. So got a full portfolio of adjuvants to support that in-season application for you and your customers. Did just want to give you a quick reminder, when you're partnering your Rob Seco sales and the program that's out there, there's an opportunity to earn an additional seed credit when you're bundling the Streamline Ag products and the Rob Seco seed. With that, don't forget, Rob Seco or Inditech seed beans that are treated with Fortify have 100% replant coverage. Also, any seed, Rob Seco corn or grain sorghum that has tune-up plus corn applied to it qualifies for 100% replant. So we've still got all those products available. If you need some, make sure to reach out to your DSM, your customer care rep, or myself, and we can certainly get some headed your way if that opportunity is still available. With that, we appreciate your time. We respect your time this time of year. Know that it's important. There's a lot of things going on, and we wanted to keep this brief and informative. Thank you, Todd, for your participation and insight into these NutriBoost products. And with that, we'll conclude. We will send out the recording of this once it becomes available with a couple other pieces that we think will be valuable to help you guys in these foliar and adjuvant portfolio. Again, thank you for your time, and stay safe today.